Welcome to Moneyball, ladies and gentlemen. I got the one and only Deuces Hulk, Mr. Fred Jackson. How are you, my man?
Not too bad, man. I appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. This is great. For me, always you were one of the guys, that I really just thought was an amazing player. Followed your career closely, even that 1 year in Seattle. Although we won't talk much about that.
Yeah.
But just the way not only you played the game, but your professionalism, what you did in the community, just an absolute salt of the earth, dude. And I really appreciate you taking some time with me today. Happy birthday.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah.
Right? Today is what? So what's today? 24th, man? My man just celebrated a birthday.
Yeah, I did 3 days ago, 23rd. We've been doing the birthday celebration thing for about a week strong now. But you know what? I always tell people when they ask me about it, I say, I'm 43, but I still act like I'm 17. So my body just can't keep up with me when I'm trying to do that. So
tell us what's going on with Freddie Jackson these days. I mean, we mentioned briefly before we came on, and I said 2015 was the actual last season that you played in the NFL, which blew my mind. Yeah. How has it been that long, and what's going on? How you been?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. But like you, man, I got 4 kids that are keeping me absolutely busy. Braden, my son, is doing this whole college recruiting thing now. So it's been fun watching him and kind of, living vicariously through him, because that never happened for me. I ended up at Coke College and I played there, and, it was a blessing in disguise, to be able to get to, play in the NCAA is what the dream was between me and my brother, was to play on the same team, and made that happen. But doing that with him, watching him grow as a player, kind of giving him tutelage as he's gone along. Yep. Been doing that a lot. My girls, I've coached them in, volleyball, basketball. They've done some track things, and they're all still doing that. So between him and those 3 girls, it's just been going constantly, doing stuff. Now my youngest is 10. And I'm coaching her in volleyball right now. So that's kind of how I feel my time is, just doing things for them and, spending as much time with them as possible.
How old is B? Is he 16, 17?
He's 17 now.
Yeah. 17. Is he a running back?
He's a running back.
All right. Who's after him, man? Talk to me. Who's looking at him?
Well, his dream is to go to Iowa, and that's, he's, since we moved back here, it's kind of who he's fallen in love with, and has followed, what they do in college. So we've gone out there a handful of times. I want to say 6, 7 times we've been up there on visits and into games and stuff like that. So that's where we were for junior day. I want to say 2 weeks ago. Okay. And he just loved the atmosphere, loved the coaches. One of their coaches is a guy that I actually played with at Coe. So we've got a great relationship with him. He loves, like I said, the atmosphere and what they do and what they're about. After being there so many times, he loves that. He's gone to Iowa State on a visit. We have a visit to North Dakota State coming up, I want to say in a couple of weeks. He's talked to Kansas State, some of those teams like that. I've even put bugs in, Tashard Choice's and CJ Spiller's ear, being former teammates, telling them to look out for him. So
a little Clemson action?
Oh, yeah, Clemson in Texas. I grew up a Texas fan, so it would be, awesome.
You're from Texas, right?
Yeah,
originally?
I'm from Texas, yeah.
So I mean, you got your son now playing running back. It's just it's full circle, man. Now, how is he? Obviously, he's got your talent and your lineage and hereditary. I always say athletes breed athletes. Yeah. Is he standing out in high school? Is he leveling up or what?
He is, man. So last year they released like the top 200 recruits in the state of Iowa, and he made the list. He was like, I want to say he's like 25 or something like that. So he's on the list, man. He's doing his thing. I like what he does. I like what he brings. So I tell him, I tell him don't get a big head, but he's, light years ahead of where I was at his age. So it's there for him. All he's got to do is continue to chase that dream and, put the hard work in, and it's all out in front of him, and hopefully, his dreams come true like they did for me.
Well, he's got a pretty decent mentor, and
he's all right.
I clearly mean your wife by that, by the way.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's crazy, man. So, now Freddie had to give me a little geography lesson When I reached out to him, I thought he was in the home of the potato. I had to eat that one. I apologize.
Yeah. No,
He's out in Iowa. Where are you at? Sioux Falls?
I'm in the Des Moines area, just
Des Moines.
outside of Des Moines, about 15 minutes outside of Des Moines.
Man, it's crazy.
You have no idea how often I hear the potato area or the corn. I'm like, nope, that's Idaho. We're in Iowa. So
it's just crazy that, Fred Jackson ended up in Iowa. And, I know you were out there prior, but it's like if you had to pick 50 states, it probably wouldn't be. If I knew nothing about you, that wouldn't be in the top 40 or 45.
Oh, you know what? You are not alone in that category. I remember when I was telling teammates that I was moving back to Iowa, they would say the same thing, like, why are you going to Iowa? But man, it's been a blessing because my brother's one neighbor and my brother-in-law is my other neighbor. And
that's awesome.
We were, talking about it. Best friends, your kids having best friends right up the street. Yep. Mine have their cousins. Between the three families, we have 11 kids, and they're with each other at all times. So it's awesome, and like I've coached them. I've coached my nieces and my nephews and a bunch of different stuff, and had that opportunity to do that, and I wouldn't change it for a thing.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. I mean, and for those kids to have, like I said, just that atmosphere. I think that's so important to have the cousins. When I was growing up, I had cousins. Every summer I would go, and they become your best friends,
Absolutely.
And, my three boys, they don't have that, right? I'm trying to tell Trisha's brothers, like, let's get on this. Let's start making some babies here, because it's, to have those built-in best friends, man, is just remarkable. Yep. One thing I do want to mention to you, I don't want to go into the past too much. This is more on, moving into the future. I mean, third all-time in rushing, though, as a Buffalo Bill, which, man, I mean, it's not only that, it's the blocking. You were an excellent receiving back. You just did things the right way. You were humble. How much of that you think is the co-college influence? Well, I mean, I know you're proud of the D3 thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, one of the things that I tell people all the time is, I was a 25-year-old rookie, when I came in the league, and to be able to get 10 years after coming in at the age of 25 was something that I'm most proud of when I tell people about my career. Is not only that, but I had 2 first-round draft picks, during that tenure that I was in Buffalo. So,
right.
It was my favorite coach of all time, Eric Studesville, and that's no disrespect to any of my other coaches, because I had some absolutely great coaches. But Eric Studesville told me immediately, he was like, "Hey, man, the deck is stacked against you, but the more you can do, the better your chances. So, learn how to pass protect, learn how to return punts, learn how to, do kickoff returns." So it was just like, that was the mindset, is just to be the best I could at everything that they asked me to do. And it allowed me to, coming from Division III, playing against people in indoor league, where I tell everybody that made the game speed up. Obviously, the Division III level comparison to the NFL, there's no comparison.
Right.
So playing in that 50-yard field where you can take any average linebacker and put them across the way from a running back that runs a 4.2, and it nullifies that. It doesn't matter because you're in a 5-yard box. So
I never even thought about that, man. That's like, I mean, you gotta, right?
It sped up the game for me. Yeah. So that was a great adjustment for me to transfer all my knowledge that I had at Division III from the indoor league to the NFL, lean on all that knowledge that I gained from all that, helped me take my game to the next level in the NFL. So the path I took, was one that I wouldn't recommend to a lot of people, but I would say that, it was one that I definitely enjoyed, and it helped me have a career sustained as long as it did because of the path that I was taking.
Every player I've spoke with that played with you, and I think this might be the fact of a 25-year-old rookie and everything, that sentiment that you just shared, but every single one of them said they looked at you as an older brother, or some of them a father, man, when you got a little bit later, 33, 34. Mm-hmm. But that just says so much. And part of that is the college, part of that is just who you are as a human being, right? Yeah. And to be able to mentor, I know that's something you enjoy, right? You're still coaching.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it was like we just talked about it with the cousins thing. I was the oldest out of all the siblings and cousins and everything growing up, between me and my brother being the twins, we were the oldest out of everybody. So we took care of everybody. So again, that's something that gets ingrained in you from an early age, looking after all your cousins when they're around. But you want to, there's, something about being a human being wanting to see others succeed. And that's what it was. When guys would come in, I'm like, hey, work on this, let's work on that. You're doing this wrong, get in this position or whatever. Don't make those choices. Let all that go. You can get all that later. Right now, we need to focus on this job and what we do here. And that's just what it was.
Love that.
You needed somebody like that in the locker room. And I enjoyed that. And I think the number one thing that kind of, pushed that over the top for me was being voted a captain. When you're playing in the NFL and you get a roster full of guys that vote you as a captain, that's a mantle that no one can take from you.
Such a humbling thing too, right?
It is, man. It's something that,
because these are all pros. Every one of these dudes are NFL players.
Every one of them. And some guys that you hear some names and you're like, damn, I got voted a captain over that dude. Okay, I better step my game up. So it's stuff like that, man. I took to heart and I wanted to be the best at it.
Yeah. So a lot of people may not know, and again, not to dive too much on this, will be the last thing I ask about even football for that matter, but how did you get involved with the Buffalo Bills, right? So you were playing arena. Just tell us real quickly, that code to arena. How did you become a Bill?
Yeah, I mean, it's really simple, and he hates to take credit for it. He said it was all, me and what I did once I got to Buffalo, but I would not have been in Buffalo without, Coach Levy. Marv Levy was a co-college alum, and my middle school coach and him coached together out at Cal.
Okay.
And while I was at Wayne Phillips was his name. He called Marv and was like, hey, Marv, keep an eye out on Fred. I think he has the potential to play. And Marv said, as a man, he gave me his word. He said, if I ever got back to, in the league in some form or fashion, I'll get you a workout and I'll do my best. And, he came back in 2006 as a GM, and true to his word, 3 days later, I was on a plane out doing a workout in Buffalo. And I will say it was the absolute worst workout I had. So, but
why you say that, man? Why you say that?
I mean, I'm slow as 40. My short shoulder was slow, but they had, so if you go in the field house, you see those big doors that they have in there.
Yeah.
They had all of that open. I think it was 20 degrees outside, and I just couldn't get loose. I mean, but I caught everything they threw at me. I ran all the routes right, and he sent me over to NFL Europe and played well when I was over there. And I came back, and the rest was history. But I would not have been in Buffalo if it wasn't for Mar.
Were you in Europe a full season?
I was in there a full season. Yeah,
you were. Okay, was it Frankfurt or where were you?
I was in with the Rhine Fire. So,
okay.
Yep.
And what's it like over there, man? Like for anyone that's now obviously it's dissolved,
it's
right?
defunct. It defunct like a year after I was out there.
Okay,
but it was an absolutely enjoyable experience, man. I tell guys all the time, I wish they still had it because, the coaches and everybody that had been over there, they made sure that we took in all the culture. We'd go visit castles, go visit the Berlin Wall, go see all these stadiums and things like that. So it was an absolute blast. And, like I said, I tell people I wish I would have, soaked it up a little bit more than I did. Cause I haven't been back over there. Well, I guess I went to London this past season for the Bills game, but I haven't been back over there to go do, some of those sites and things like that. Right. So it's something that I do want to get the family back over there and have them, go see some of the places I played, prior to playing in the NFL. So, Marv Levy, took a risk, sent me over there, and I like to think I repaid him. That's what I say. I was working just as hard for myself as I was for him for believing in me.
Big ups to Marv, man. I think, what's he, 97? I think he's 97 years old.
He might be older than that now.
He might 97, 98, but he's, he's slowing down, obviously. Yeah. You don't see him around town as much anymore. But he's, from what I understand, he's still mentally there and doing his thing. And, it's funny what you mentioned about Germany and not soaking it in, man. You were a kid, like you're 24 or 23, 24. And that stuff now, you look and you're like, why didn't I go do this?
Absolutely.
Why didn't I go see this? Right? Because you don't have that mentality, right? Like 24, you want to play, you want to party a little bit here and there. Yeah. You want to just go and experience different things.
Absolutely.
But you're in an opportunity where you can go do that. And what an amazing thing if you could go back and say, guys, this is where I played. Yep. This was my practice facility. You know what I mean? That's just, and your kids would eat it up, man.
Oh yeah. My son would love it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to ask, man, I need some tips on how you get all your kids. How do they stop picking on each other and killing each other here? Do your kids fight a lot?
every day. You know, I wish I had the magic advice for that. You know, it's something that I mean, my three oldest pick on my 10-year-old like she's like the old, you know, kid that we keep in the basement. I'm like, why are y'all picking on her like that?
All the time, man. Like I got my oldest Deacon is constantly picking on his younger brother who's 7, about to be 8. And it doesn't matter what I do to threaten him, you know, or take this away or take that away, or, hey, you're not going to baseball or hockey. He don't, man. He's a bully. I hate it. And then he's the sweetest kid to everybody else.
Yeah, I tell them that all the time too. We keep going back to this, but my brother-in-law's daughter is the same age as my youngest.
Okay.
And they treat my 2 older daughters, treat her like she's the baby sister. And I'm just like, that's the part that really makes me mad about it. Like, because I know y'all have it in you to be great big sisters.
Yeah,
but
they're good people.
You just do it to cousins instead of your actual younger sister. And I cannot deny it. My wife and I spoil her. We spoil the hell out of our youngest.
Yeah,
and I tell them, I'm like, she's the youngest though. She's dealing with y'all. And we have to kind of spoil her to make up for the crap that she deals with dealing with y'all.
The older ones can't seem to figure that out, why the youngest, I have a 4-year-old, like I said, and they can't figure out why he's getting everything. I'm like, man, because he's got nothing else, but, you know,
nothing.
It's crazy, man. Do you like it out there? I mean, I know, you know, obviously the company answer is, of course, I love it, but what do you, I guess, let me word it this way. What do you miss about Buffalo? And what do you like about out there?
Impulse is revolutionizing the physical therapy experience for active individuals in Western New York. From marathon runners to warriors of the weight room, we've got you covered. Our cutting-edge technology takes sport-specific testing to the next level. Our patient-centered approach lets you drive your own recovery. You can expect individualized one-on-one sessions every time you're here. And the game changer? Impulse is home to Western New York's only public board-certified sports PT. If you're ready to get back in the game, call Impulse today and mention Moneyball for $100 off your first visit.
You know, that Buffalo doesn't have.
I will tell you it's
and don't say chicken wings, man. You can't say chicken wings.
Hell no. Ooh, no. Me and my son were just talking about chicken wings the other day and how you can't get anywhere near the great tasting chicken wings that you can get in Buffalo. And I don't know why that it is, but it's just an absolute fact.
It's crazy. You would think they would just figure it, like, here's the Buffalo and figure it out.
And do it the same way they do it. And they for whatever reason, they can't do it. But I'll say this. So my agent at the time, when we moved out here, he was talking to me. He was like, did you know that Des Moines, Iowa and Buffalo are twin cities? Like they're sister cities. They looked up the most compatible when they were actually looking to build a stadium.
Really?
They looked around to see what was the most compatible place. And it was Des Moines, Iowa. And I was like, I already knew that. Like when I came from Iowa and moved to Buffalo, the very first thing I said was, holy, this was what Iowa was. Like it's the exact same thing. So
now, Freddie, not to cut you off, but do you mean the city itself or the suburbs surrounding it or both?
All of it. All of it. Like you have your areas like where it's old and this has been here. Then you have the new and vibrant that's trying to come up and you know where the young kids are going and the old kids and where it's old money, new money, all this, it's all the same. So the thing that I missed about Buffalo is obviously being around Bills Mafia. You know, there's no fan base like that. You can't find a fan base like that anywhere. Even here in Iowa, I run into people that love the Bills so much, and they have a Bills Mafia bar.
Isn't that crazy? Like, hey, man, everywhere you go, right?
Everywhere. They're like, you got to come watch a game with us. I was like, man, let me know. I will come out there as soon as I can.
And you know what's cool, man, is you actually will. You'll go and do it.
Absolutely. You know, and I told him, I was like, the only thing that would prevent me is I'd have to leave at like halftime because I do a post-game show for, you know, Spectrum. So
yeah, you do a great job with that, man, by the way.
Yeah, appreciate it. But the only reason, the number one reason I'm in Iowa is 2 reasons. It's my kids and my brother and our families, the dynamic that we have set
You're
up.
You're a family man. I mean, that sells everything.
Absolutely. I mean, I can send my kids outside. Iowa is slow motion. It's really slow motion out here. And I tell people that all the time. If I want the fast paced, I go visit it, but I go visit and I come back to where I can say, my kids are like, can we go do this? And I'm like, yeah, go do whatever you want to. I'm not worried about it.
Does it have a Southern type vibe to it as far as the pace?
It's
you know really how like, slow. You know, you're down in Carolinas or Florida, it's slower. You know what I mean? Yes. Is it like that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And and that's just it. Like, but like I said, having my brother next door, my brother-in-law on the other side of him, and I'm like, hey man, I gotta take this kid to this.
Yeah,
Can you take
you're not bored at any time.
yeah,
Like you're doing
no. When like my daughter, my oldest daughter was in a volleyball tournament in Omaha last weekend, and my youngest daughter had a tournament here. And then the day after, we didn't have anything going on, but my nephew had a basketball game. I was like, well, I guess we're going to a basketball game. I mean, it's just constant movement like that and stuff like that, just kind of soaking all that up now because, I mean, at some point that they're all going to be dispersed and we're not going to be able to get to watch any of them. So
Uncle Fred.
Yep. Right? Yes, sir. Uncle Fred is sitting in the stands yelling, tell my uncle to be quiet. So, you know.
I've been asking. I've had a lot of actually, you know, a lot of guys that I've been talking to lately at different levels of basketball, football, or whatever. That Europe thing keeps coming up. I even spoke to a local guy who played volleyball over in Europe.
Okay.
You know, and not to touch on that again, but it seems like. Do you think players now, and this is the only thing I'm going to ask about the NFL, do you think they have more options now? Like, is it like, okay, listen, I'm just going to play overseas because I don't want to deal with the whole drafting process or like too hard of a route, you know? So you see, I guess what I'm saying is you see some phenomenal college athletes who I feel like you never hear from again, right? And I'll be like, where'd that dude go, right? And then you look and you're like, oh, he had a crazy successful career in Europe. Do you have any take on that at all?
I think the one thing I would say is just there's more exposure, you know, for people to realize they can go have a successful career overseas. And, you know, there's a draw over there. You know, I just saw something about what's his name? I can't even think of his name now. Boogie Cousins, DeMarcus Cousins.
Oh, yeah.
Saying he's done with the NBA. But
that's what I mean. Yeah.
But he might see what's going on overseas.
Yep.
Because there's the opportunities there. I think where you see opportunities growing in different places, you know, there's more of a draw there, you know, where you don't have to deal with, you know, whatever it was that he was dealing with in the NBA. He's over dealing with that. Now let's go to a different place and see what I can get out of that one. So I think just with more opportunities, even with football now, you know, you got this USFL, you know,
you see some guys going there. Yeah.
So I think things like that, just with there being more opportunities and, you know, it being out there more, especially with social media and outlets like that, where guys can still get some recognition and still get, you know, some of that notoriety that they're looking for, you know, and wherever it is that it is that they decide to play, they can still get the same thing. Obviously, there's juggernauts in all of this. The NBA is a juggernaut. The NFL is a juggernaut. But still, you still go have a successful career, still make some good money. Those are opportunities that guys are going to look for, not deal with, you know, the hardest route in the world and get into one of the hardest places in the world to play.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, man. I kind of wanted some feedback on that because I've been hearing it so much, and it is predominantly in the NBA. You don't see it as much with football because the NFL, you know, yes, conglomerate, juggernaut, just a monopoly, really. You know, like I know they keep trying. Now you got The Rock, right? He's trying to do his thing, and they intertwined USFL and XFL, right?
Yeah, XFL.
And they just keep trying these different things. And I think at the end of the day, you know, you might have a season or two with it. And I think some of the guys, NFL wise or football wise, use it as a springboard maybe to get to NFL. But you know, but all right. So I'm going to go into a couple of fun questions, man.
All right.
You know, this is just something I started doing. We'll see how you compare to last night's answers. I know you're a hip hop guy because we've talked about that once before. Is Biggie in your top 10?
Yes.
Okay. All right. It's a very controversial question, I'm finding. Because he's not in mine, and people ask, and I need a bigger sample set. Listen, I'm hip hop true and true. I got a Wu-Tang tattoo. I mean,
no doubt.
I'm that guy, right?
Yeah.
But he just doesn't have a big enough catalog to me, right? Yeah. Like to compare him to the Nas or the Jay-Z or even the Pac. So, but I respect it.
Yeah. I think, and that's one of the things I tell people all the time. I was like, it's so subjective. Like, and that's the one thing about it is, I can tell you my top 10, you can tell me your top 10, but at the end of the day, we're still going to have our top 10s that are going to be different. And I couldn't tell you all, like I'd have to sit down and really think about it. But when I think of the name Biggie and what he did for hip hop, he's in the top 10.
All right. Absolutely fair. Absolutely fair. Respect. You been listening to these Buffalo boys at all? Is Griselda, Benny, Conway?
I heard Benny a little bit what about 2 months ago, I was just listening to some Benny the Butcher. I was actually listening to him when I was in the barbershop. They had him on down here.
Yeah, he's blowing up. He's signed with Def Jam and in
Yep.
Conway, you know, in West Side. They're like, I know you're not back to Buffalo too much, a couple times a year still, right?
I usually get back about 4 or 5 times a year.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're blowing up here, man. They're doing things. So it's kind of cool, you know, to see that, because Buffalo's never represented hip hop or rap in any capacity. So
absolutely. Like I said, when I heard him in the barbershop, I was like, here in Iowa, I was like, oh damn, that's
right.
Yeah. So,
right. It's kind of a good feeling, you know.
Yeah,
you get
it was.
that kind of like, yeah. If you're ordering a pizza, man, what are you ordering on your pizza?
Oh man, I'm simple. I like sausage and pepperoni or beef and pepperoni.
Okay. All right. Good answer. You don't mess with any of the olives, the pineapple, the onion.
I'll throw some jalapenos on every now and then.
All right. Mix it up when you're feeling a little spicy. All right. I dig it. I dig it.
Yep.
That's it, man. Listen, I'll let you off the hook. I
right.
hope you had fun. This was great for me, man.
Absolutely.
It was great catching up with you.
Yep.
I'm so, glad to hear you're doing well and your family's doing well, man. And I wish you guys absolutely nothing but the best. I think next time it might be you and your son that I'm interviewing, man. I see big things coming for this kid.
He'd like that. So yeah, we can definitely make that happen. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad we were able to get it on the books. Like I said, that's what the number one thing that keeps me from doing this is chasing them around all the places and all the places they got going on.
Keep being you, man. Thanks so much. Take care. All right.
I appreciate it. Yep.
What's up? It's your boy Rick Hyatt, Big BSF. And if I'm not at Native Hype Mark, I'm right here at Shaman 2, 1046 Bloomingdale Road. Pull up. Ricky! What's up? It's your boy Rick Hyatt, Big BSF. And if I'm not at Native Hype Mark, I'm right here at Shaman 2, 1046 Bloomingdale Road. Pull up. Ricky!